around the world. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the state of our own democracy. I know you have condemned the violence on January 6th, but in that book, Peril, Bob Woodward and Robert Costa reported detailed conversations you had with the president, Donald Trump, at that time on January 6th, and that you knew there was no congressional authority to overturn the election. Didn't indulging the doubters damage our democracy and our standing in the world?
Well, I haven't read that particular book, and I didn't happen to have any conversations with President Trump on January 6th. But
didn't you talk to him as they detail they detail a number of conversations you had in the book with the president?
I have no idea what that book says.
Challenging the election.
I have no idea what that book says, but I did not have any conversations with him on January 6th. But I also know what the Constitution provides. I had many conversations with him in days and weeks and months leading up to January 6th. I talked to the president sometimes as often as once a week or once a day. But my point is simple. Under the Constitution, Congress has a role and has a responsibility when it comes to certifying votes. And what I did, I brought together a group of 11 senators, and we objected to call for an electoral commission to review the claims of voter fraud and to assess and make a determination to consider the evidence. And there's a strong historical precedent for that.
Right.
You look at 1876 and the election of 1876, there was a contested election. There were serious allegations of election fraud. And what Congress did in 1876 is it appointed an electoral commission.
Right, but
it consisted of 5 members of the Senate, 5 members of the House, 5 Supreme Court justices.
That what you're laying out as an intellectualized argument here is not what people gathered and chanting things like Mike Pence were talking about. You know that.
Look, I think the violence that happened on that day was horrific. I think any acts of violence, regardless of your political orientation, if you're right-wing, left-wing, or you have no ideology at all, if you commit an act of violence, if you assault a police officer, if you're violent against anyone, you should be prosecuted and go to jail. And that's what the law is. And so I absolutely condemned acts of violence. But what I did was led 11 senators in a constitutional option, which I think would have been much better for our democracy, because we right now have a substantial chunk of our country that has real doubts about the integrity of the election. And if we had had a credible electoral commission do an emergency audit, it would have enhanced faith in democracy. But instead, Democrats and a lot of the press decided to just engage in incendiary rhetoric rather than acknowledge voter fraud is real. It is a problem.
Well, do you have
the allegations of voter fraud needed to be examined on the merits?
Okay, Senator, there is no evidence of fraud that would have really drawn the outcome of the election into doubt. You know that. I want to ask you about 2024 and a race.
Voter fraud has been persistent from the very first election.
Are you going to run for president in 2020?